Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Contact Lost, where we're kicking off our second mini series focusing on the 2024 WTC. This one is simply called Player Profiles and is shamelessly stolen, that is inspired by a series of the same name created by Tom Lohman of 6. So make sure you check it out and then you'll know where we're getting this from. This won't, however, be exactly the same, as we here have different reasons to be doing this. Our main focus is to introduce the players of Team Poland, whereas he's doing Team England, so we won't be having any Team England people on this one. And our secondary goal is to introduce some of the other participants of the event to help those interested in the fantasy entourage with their player picks. Now, you'll probably be wondering what the fantasy entourage is, unless you've watched the pod draw, where we've spent a little time explaining this. Essentially, this is a little mini game, and all of the rules will be posted on our contactless Facebook page and hopefully on the WTC webpage at some point as well. As always, I would like to start off with a massive thank you to our sponsors, the Army Painter and Weyland-Yutani, and our patrons for their continued support. Our first guest will be none other than Contact Lost's very own Majson. Hi, Majson. How's it going?
Hello there. It's it has been a rough time recently, to be honest. As you
Ah,
might know, there's some kind of event coming
yeah, I've
in a
heard
couple of weeks.
something about it
Y-
here and there. Anyhow, I feel like we've already had this conversation a number of times, but we're going to do it again just for the sake of people who might have not heard it before. So, Myson, a little bit about yourself, a player profile that we're trying to do here. So, when and how did you start playing 40k?
Oh, it was a long time ago in galaxy far, far away, somewhere in the old town, old town called Międzyrzecz. Some of you might know it from Pyra Cup. I went to this high school there, and I desperately needed a hobby. So, so I started board games. And then it's somehow transferred into a 40k. I have not been playing this competitively for many years. Then I started competitive play just after my studies. So it's been a long time since I started casual gaming, 40k in general, wargaming,
Mhm.
and when I had 2 years of competitive playing card games, like Magic the Gathering, I just decided to this is too expensive. Let's start something cheaper. So I started 40k, and here I am
Mhm.
after a couple of
Yeah,
years.
clearly something went wrong here, but
Definitely.
how and why did you get into competitive 40k?
Uh,
Like,
uh,
was there something that kicked you towards this kind of enjoying the hobby?
to be honest, I do have really competitive mindset when terms to playing games, and I'm always trying and basically doing any hobby. I just try my best. I like really to compete, of course,
Mhm.
in terms of gentleman's game, and just to have fun of it. So yeah, I like min maxing something. So it naturally went from have a casual game to let's start doing this seriously. Uh, I still do have some side games do it for fun for casual gaming, but for
Mhm.
TK, I focus mostly on competitive play.
Okay. And when did you start playing more competitively?
Like I said before, it was just a couple of years after
Yeah,
my
but
studies.
in
It's
terms
been
of the edition, that
yeah,
was.
it was. I started playing competitively in Ep.
Hmm?
Then before I played fifth, sixth, and seventh edition casually, sometimes from time to time, but competitively when going to tournaments, it was eighth edition just from the start of the edition till the end, basically. And then yeah,
Okay. So, which WTC will it be for you?
it's my third one.
Your third one, right? And any recent tournament successes that you've had?
Maybe something
Want
there
to brag
was.
about?
Yeah. So we have managed to won like two last national Polish tournaments, team tournaments. One was part of the team V, and the second is coming as Team Poland. So it was Silesian Team Championships and Hagamonalia. And then we had like second place in Bydgoszcz tournaments. So yeah, there was a couple of successes from my side. Before that, basically this season I focused mostly on international play. So I've been to the Netherlands, Scotland, and places like that to play competitive 40K.
All right. Right. And did you enjoy any success there? I think you've won the Euro Trash, right, as part of the international dream team kind of thing.
Yeah, we talk about it.
Yeah. Any successes in Scotland though? You've mentioned you've been there.
It was in December, so end of it last year, and we also had like some kind of dream team over there. But yeah, we also managed to win that. Yep.
All right. Moving on, Majson, what's your favorite faction in 40K? Is it still GSC like we've mentioned every now and again, or has it now changed to something different?
So in my heart, and like I still would like to imagine myself with 4 hands, but unfortunately, I needed to cut it, and I changed my flap like talks to something maybe called about fate, about like miracles happening somewhere over the board. So that's
Right.
might be something different this time. Still an empire somehow.
Still an empire, still an emperor, just less hands.
Still an emperor, less hands.
Yeah, right. So a real sort of a conversion there. Right. And is that the faction that you will be playing at the WTC?
Yep. So right now I think we can say this officially that I will be playing Adept Authoritas, so Sisters of Battle army at WTC. The list we called Sister Storm. So there's a reason I also played Iron Storm for a couple of last tournaments, just naturally driving something else. Of course, we didn't know that anything about the codex being there, but this is like my natural playstyle as aggressive army. It's not like melee right now, like it used to be, but right now the Sisters of Battle are a really aggressive codex that can be used as one of my favorite playstyles. So being an attacker somewhere during the pairing process, but we'll use it that way or another. We'll see.
Okay, so you kind of almost answered the next question. So do you have a preferred playstyle and or a team role that you like to fulfill?
It's definitely not a defender one. Definitely not. I like tricky armies. So my preferred playstyle is that army that cheats on something, on some mechanics, basically. So GSC cheated on being like heavy deep strike, heavy not caring about rules like 9 inches because I can deep strike 3 inch or something like that. Sisters cheats on rolling. So and efficient usage of miracle dice are always a really good skill. Skill wise, it requires a really good skill to do it properly. So I like it. I really like it from the terms of competitive play, and also really fun to play because of the mobility. So I don't like slow armies because usually then you can calculate what the army does on the table, and basically they're fair. I like something that's really mobile, serving as something like a glass cannon. Like history of my competitive armies are sisters GSC and Harlequins, Eldar for some time. Even Iron Storm, I played it like really aggressively. So yeah, it's mobile shooting or combat armies.
Okay, right. Majson, are there any other aspects of 40k that you enjoy? Being the painting, maybe, or the background, the lore, or whatever? Do you fancy any of that, or it's just the gaming aspect?
Painting is just like speed painting. So how much? I like answering question. How much time can I save preparing the miniatures for the tournament? Yeah, it's like sometimes it's 3 minutes per model, sometimes 4 minutes per model. It's fun. No, but to be honest, I think the most important aspect of 40k is not particular gaming, but maybe I like socializing and people around,
Hmm.
meeting new people or exchanges opinions, competing over the board. It's like really like interesting experience for me. Like meet all the stuff around traveling to different places, meeting players with the same hobby from all over the world, exchanging opinions. That's the thing that matters the most for me.
Okay, I must admit that when thinking of that question, I did not expect this answer. So thank you for that. That was insightful. Uh, my son, thanks very much for joining in, and we'll see you at the event.
See you then.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Next up, we've got one of the veteran players of the WTC from Team Netherlands, Dino. Hi, Dino. Glad to have you here. How are you doing?
Hey man, happy to be here. I'm doing very well.
Excellent. So, what we'd like to know from you is when and how did you start playing 40k?
It's the typical classical story. I was 12-year-old, bumped into a hobby store, walked in, saw amazing 40k models. They were pretty much all converted, by the way. Fell in love instantly. Um, Took me about a year and a half to convince my parents to get me some. In a short span of 2 weeks, I managed to ruin the carpets in 2 rooms with a bottle of paints. I destroyed my desk with cutting it with knives, and I glued half my eyes shut. And then I got a Warhammer band for about 2 years. Did it another extra year. Then I discovered girls and drinks and going out, and I skipped like a lot of years. Then got
Hmm.
settled and jumped back in end of seventh edition. And
Okay.
now I'm here.
Well, that story sounds like your parents regretted you not going into drugs rather than Warhammer, but it is what it is. But last time we spoke, I think you mentioned you're 1,000 years old. So was Warhammer even a thing back then when you were 12? I'm surprised.
Well, if you go back 1,000 years, you'll probably end up in somewhere second edition. So yeah, it was fine.
Okay, all right, perfect. So you started playing again towards the end of seventh, and were you already invested into tournament competitive gaming, or did you grow into it somehow?
I was not even aware there was a competitive scene. The local GW store ran small 1,000 points games, from which you could do free in a day,
Mhm.
which was nice and fun, and people brought all kinds of wacky stuff. I quickly joined up with a club, kind of took over the club with Dick, yes as in penis, from also Team Netherlands. uh,
That never grows old.
no, it's still amazing. Ru- we already thought we were amazing because we loved the hobby and we were good in painting. So we really
Hmm.
thought we were those guys. And then Ruud came by, the captain of Team NL, and he showed his models, and we kind of laughed because he had guardsmen with binoculars that were plasma guns, and all his models looked like shit. It was horribly painted, and we were like, "This guy can't be good." And I think we all got tabled in like 2 turns. Obviously, he was just lucky. There was no skill
Yeah,
issue
obviously.
there. And then Dick opted to go to the A tournament in England.
Hmm.
That was what was the name again? Something something at Element Games. And I think round one I ended up against Alex Harrison. Dick wins against Manny Chima. And I think one of the other guys went against Matt Robertson. And that was really our first experience in competitive for the K. Obviously, we got shown the true way.
Quite the trial by fire, I was gonna say.
Yes, and never looked back since.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And whenabouts was that? Like in also in seventh edition or
This
sometime
was
later?
this was literally the first month of eighth edition,
All right.
so that was like nine malefic lords,
Mm-hmm. Ah, yeah, I
nine
remember
demon
that.
princes, all the crazy stuff.
300 brimstones, six
Yeah,
storm ravens, that kind of
amazing.
jazz. Yes.
Yes, love it.
Golden times.
Yes,
Let's treasure them dearly. Right. And when was your first WTC and how many did you participate in since?
I think I've did the first WTC. Yeah, that was the first one. So now two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're almost ready for the third one in I think a month or so. A
Yeah.
little bit further than a month. Yeah, yeah. So free by then.
All right. Um, so what is your favorite faction?
Poof. um, I'm known for hopping factions every 24 hours, so I like a lot of factions. um, but if I'd had to pick one, it probably would still be Death Guard.
Okay.
Um, I played them second edition when I first started in the hobby. Um, it's my only army that I've fully painted to a standard that I really like. Still up to this day, I like the color. It's all
Hmm.
based on the color schemes out of the Siege of Frax books. Lore,
Okay.
lore, lore. I'm such a lore buff, really. um,
I need to Google it. I don't know what did they look like in that.
it's basically brown, and but the
Oh,
whole
okay.
the whole joke in Netherlands is that I paint everything brown or alt white, which is true, but it's purely coincidence.
Of
Yeah, but
course.
Death Guard's my favorite army.
Okay. And will you be playing them at the event this year, or you've opted for something else?
I haven't played them in the entirety of 10th edition, so I won't be playing my WTC as well.
All right. And what will you be playing? What did you submit?
Chaos Space Marines. It's which is funny because I really started the hobby with Chaos Space Marines, opted
Hmm.
quickly to Plague Marines and World Eaters, but it started with Chaos Space Marines, so it's I'm going full circle here.
Okay. Did you at least take any Plague Marines in your Chaos Space Marine list? I think
Um,
they can pack a little
while
bit of a punch in Renegade Raiders.
while we're recording this, I have not settled on a list yet, so who knows?
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. We'll have to, or you, dear listeners, will have to verify this once the episode is live.
I have a few more
And
days.
yeah, so check out Dino's list who's listening to this. Right, and do you have a preferred playstyle or like a team role that you feel comfortable filling in?
Um, I can do a lot of things. Just don't put me in horrible matchups because I will zone out. Yeah, I think that's. I'm a bit of a flex pick. I can do a lot of things, defend or attack,
Hmm.
be a hammer, be a shield, but I do like a fair chance in a game.
Okay,
Yeah.
so no real preference. in that
No,
part.
no, I'm fine.
All right. And have you managed to get any notable tournament wins this season or anything of the sort that you'd like to brag about?
No, not really. Teams obviously takes a lot of time. That involves a lot of events and traveling.
Mm,
Um, and for single season, I'm one of the organizers of tournaments in Netherlands, and I'm organizing also the Dutch ranking system. So it always gets a bit messy if I join tournaments and end up in the ranking. So I usually
mm,
don't play in the Netherlands.
okay.
Um, However, if there's something I would be proud of, that would be my games at the Nordic Cup in Sweden and Home Nations when I took the monolith list,
Hmm.
and I scored quite well in those games. So that was I did pretty well as an attacker this year. Yeah.
Okay. And you've played the triple monolith town,
Yes.
you're
Full
saying.
retard. I went full retard.
All right. Yeah. Well, someone has to, right?
Yes, absolutely.
For the
That's me.
team.
That's me. If it's bullshit, they'll let me play it.
All right. And did you participate in any other team events then with Team Netherlands or just Home Nations and Nordic Masters? I mean, just still,
We
still
did
quite
those.
good events to attend.
We did a lot this year. So it was Home Nations in Ireland, Nordic Cup in Sweden. Then we had Euro Trash in Amersfoort, the Netherlands,
Mm,
where we invited a lot of guys over. That was an amazing weekend. And we just came back from Pira Cup in Poland, which was also fantastic and painful, but fantastic, but very painful.
Well, excellent. Sounds like you've really put in the work this year to prep
Yeah.
for the event. So, what are your hopes for the WTC this year, both as per team and individually?
Um, some of the guys in the team were talking about top five, top three, maybe. While I do think we've worked hard, and we have a couple of new guys, and they're really putting in the work, and they are being very, how do you say it in English? They look very promising.
Hmm.
I am also seeing that all the other teams are also working crazy hard. The skill level is really up to notch for everyone. So I'd be happy if we can maintain our top 10 position and stay in C1. That would be my goal. For my personal records, I don't really care, except I would like to not go below 10s in my scores.
Hmm.
If I can just keep it at a 10 or higher, I'll be very happy and lucky.
So, essentially, be unbeatable.
Yes.
Perfect. That is a good target to strive towards. Last but not least, are there any other aspects of Warhammer 40,000 that you enjoy?
Um, I used to really love converting and kit bashing and painting.
Mm,
Now, with how much time Warhammer takes, I find the hobby part either too taxing in time, and kit bashing is also kind of a problem because of the WTC rules. I'd rather just not
hmm.
have any discussion or risk or just take stock models. For me, the most fun part for 40K now or WTC is Bar Popular and everything we spend there. Gotta be honest.
Oh, I love the honesty. We really appreciate it here on the show. Um, all right. Well, in that case, Dino, thanks for your time,
Thank
and
you
we'll
for
see you in
inviting me.
Belgium.
We will, and we will see you at Bar Popular with a beer in your hand.
100%. I think it's
Oh,
mandatory for the participants, right?
pretty much.
Exactly. All right. Thanks very much, and bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Our next guest will be the biggest Necron enthusiast in the Polish community. Please welcome Gyto. Hello, Gyto. How's it going?
Fine. Just last test before list submission, as ready as I can get. Some still some work to do, but I'm very happy with what we have as a team Poland. So looking forward for the WTC. And you?
Yeah, well, I would say likewise, although I can relax a bit more as I don't need to build any lists. I'm just doing some interviews and then I'll be going to the event too. So, yeah, looking forward to it 100%.
Mhm.
Right, so Gyto, I think we've had this conversation a number of times already, but maybe someone hasn't listened to it, so we'll do it again and draw up a little player profile of yourself. So to begin with, when and how did you start playing 40k?
Okay, so I got interested in 40k mostly by some lore review or lore channels. So I started uh, knowing about 40k from like YouTube videos that I listened when I was going to sleep. Put your headphones, listen to some lore. It's a fun universe. I listen to it, then I get a little bit to the books. So read like one or two books, and then at one point when I arrived to let's say college,
Hmm.
uh, one of my friends have in his dorms room a very nicely shelf uh, full of space marines painted like very 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 cool. They were like there was a lot of effort put into them, and actually they look amazing. And I know I saw like 10 assault terminators and go, yep, I'm doing this right now. So yeah, he convinced me to maybe try it out. I tried it out, started playing, got my first army. I really like how Necrons looked, and I quite enjoyed lore. Because as I said, before I started playing, I knew like roughly how the lore of the whole
Hmm.
universe works. So I like the Necrons a lot. Yeah, so that's how I started playing. But it was at first just like we play both in room when we're like in between studying. Have like
Hmm.
a 40 game sometimes, and time to time I go to like a local event. But,
And whenabouts was that in terms of the edition, not necessarily the year?
okay, that was just end of seventh edition, but like just the end. I don't think I've played. Maybe I've played one tournament of seventh edition,
Hmm.
uh, but I play like like 8 games in total of seventh edition, and then the edition changed. So I've
Okay.
got like just when the edition swap happened, and it was like roughly 7 or 8 years ago.
All right. And why and how did you get into competitive gaming?
Well, we had some very cool people in Poznan that were doing some more competitive play. It started basically because at one point I started to going to a place like a pub called Kosteczka. If someone is somewhere at some point in Poznan, I very recommend this. It's like a board game pub that in one of the days have a beer hammer event, which is
Hmm.
basically you play 40k instead of playing board games. Yeah, and then I found some people. One of them you might know is Wojciech Evert, so the
Hmm.
head coach from Team Poland last year when we get the prize. And then there was also Bartek Fluder. It's like another person that is now less active in community, but at that point was very active. And I found some guys. Also, the owners of Kosteczka played. Two owners at that point play 40k quite much, and at some point I go to Polish team championship with like a Kosteczka team in like team Poznań C or D.
Hmm.
And that was like I go to the tournament, I really enjoy the experience, started playing competitively basically. But the huge jump from like playing a little bit competitively to the highest, let's say, world level competitive play happened in COVID when I started playing 40k on TTS. So I started playing some guys, and I played like a random guy called Typhus,
Hmm.
and if he figured out that I might not be that bad, and let's investigate it further. So he started giving me like challenges, let's say, or like show
Hmm.
opponents. I played Duda, I played Vladi, I forgot who else, but I basically keep checking me if I'm good enough, and apparently I was decent enough to try to get me into like very very competitive level. At some point, I think my first outside of Poland event, like foreign event, was Alpine Cup 4 years ago, or five even maybe,
Hmm.
around like one of the first. I think it might be even the first Alpine Cup, and I went there, performed really well, and from that point on I was like really 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 into competitive 40k.
Okay, quite the interesting story. A rise during COVID. So that will be WTC number 3 for you, right?
Yes, that's gonna be third one. It's the shame that uh, this time we cannot get the higher score, so we can just keep the championship because uh, let's say I trying to do better every time, and here we can only do the same trick again, which would be great if we manage to actually lose.
Well, some people say
Well, we'll
that
see.
defending a title is harder than challenging for one, so we'll see. Fingers
Okay,
crossed.
okay.
Right,
Okay, I'm gonna
Gyto.
try to make it. I'm gonna try to make it that the fourth time. There will be nothing to achieve, right? So.
No, then it's a repeat, right? That's also
Yeah, yeah.
an
Hat
achievement
trick, yeah.
on its own. Yeah, exactly. So I think everyone that knows you knows the answer to this question, but I'm gonna throw it out there regardless. What is your favorite faction?
Yeah. So we had the little story when I started playing 40k, and I choose Necrons, and nothing really changed from that time on. As I said many times, I only own Necrons. I play different armies, especially on TTS. I didn't play much on like actual table with other armies.
Hmm.
But on TTS, I play quite a lot of different armies, but it's mostly for practice and understanding some different playstyles. But like I only play Necrons, only own Necrons if it goes to like the most competitive play, and me uh, like the hobby time is only Necrons. The
Hmm.
competitive is sometimes not only Necrons, but usually it's also Necrons. So yes, the answer is like 5 times Necrons. I have some models that are not Necrons, but they are
Hmm.
usually like Tau on a Wraith spike, like puncture Tau somewhere being torn
Hmm.
apart by Wraith. So that's the models I have from different armies.
Yeah, but apparently you still don't have the full Necron collection, right?
Oh no, I don't. I got so much stuff that I possibly cannot even deploy. Like at some point, I was playing 21 Tomb Blades. Now I can get only 18 deployed, and like somehow always when the WTC comes or like big event comes, I'm missing like piece or two. These days it's not as bad, but at some point it was quite bad that I, even though I had like 5,000 points of Necrons, if I go
mm.
to a tournament, I still needed to borrow or like assemble just before and paint like half of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the worst part of it. You have like so much stuff of a single faction, and then it turns out that you're still missing something. It feels a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm not going to ask you what you're playing at the WTC. I think it's obvious by now. But what is your, or do you have a preferred play style or a role that you fill within a team? or is it just whatever Necrons are currently doing?
Well, I have a preferred playstyle that I prefer, and it's like wacky movement blocking, uh, playing for a draw with underdog. I really enjoy those playstyle.
Mm?
Or even when Necrons are strong, which were like like for some reason always when you come to WTC, all Necrons are good before the WTC, so I always have a strong army. But even though I might have strong army, like I really like being shoved into difficult matchups and flipping them.
Mm?
So um, I'm really like the challenge. I'm not much of like a player that feels comfortable pushing for huge scores, but I can get like a matchup that looks terrible on paper and practice it enough, understand it enough that I can play it at some point.
Mm?
And I really like enjoy like playing as an underdog, and usually with a lot of tricks, a lot of like move blocking. Necron's like whole army has additional layer of micro you can do with all their animations so on. So I very much so enjoy like being precise, not precise in the manner like, oh, you move half an inch more, but precise in the manner like, okay, if I do this, when I reanimate, I might get an objective, I can get more OC, I can attack something, get more range, like move block something. If I move block here, you cannot pass me over, then you cannot charge. Like, I very much so like playing games which
Mhm.
don't depend really on the dice rolls that much, but just of thinking about how you position stuff. So because of that, if I don't like taking risk, I'm not good at pushing score,
Mhm.
but I'm quite good at being like very stable defender or like small wins, or in some cases, if my opponent made something stupid, I can push then, but I don't like risk basically.
Mhm.
I'm not a risky player if I don't need to.
Okay,
So
understood.
sometimes the only way to go forward is risk it all, but if I don't need to do it, I don't. Obviously, sometimes that's the only way out. So
Mhm. Right. Okay. And are there any other aspects of 40K that you enjoy outside of gaming? Do you still like uh, listen to lore videos or whatnot?
yeah,
Or
yeah. I do it a lot.
Mhm.
Actually, the hobby stuff, the assembling of models and painting, I'm much less of a fan right now. Like I was never huge into it,
Mhm.
but at some point it was giving me fun. Right now, I'm just doing it to be allowed to use my models in games, and like one once a year maybe I paint something to actually look good.
Mhm.
So not very often, but I really enjoy the lore side, and I still listen to a lot of like channels that describe lore that have some like basically some 40k lore stuff. I very much so enjoy.
Mhm.
I also read some books, so I like the lore part very much so. So if you ask me whenever I go about Necron lore, I probably will have the answer. And yeah, everyone in the room will be an expert of Necrons if I need to, or in the like vicinity when I travel will be an expert of Necron lore. Um, yeah, but as I said, I
Yeah.
very enjoyed this part of the hobby too. Uh, at some point, I was really liking also, converting stuff and so on. But at this point, it's just too much time, and
Mhm.
also you need to find quite a bit of time to paint something properly, to assemble something with some cool conversions, and that's a lot of hobby time. That if I find 4 hours to do hobby, I prefer to play a game than paint and so
Mhm.
on. So it just like at this point, I'm not that much into the modeling stuff. I'm very much into the lore. I eat every lore bit I can find, not even only Necrons, just in general.
Mhm.
But it's basically playing and lore.
Okay. Right. And speaking of that, what do you think of the new lore? Because obviously the game has changed a little bit, as in updates are more often, codexes are released more often, etc. And I think that the storylines also got pushed. Um,
Hmm.
is it like okay from a perspective of someone who's very much interested in it, or too much stuff has been changed to what was there like 10, 20-ish years ago?
Yeah, it has a little bit of a different feel to it because it tried to be still there is no hope, but
Hmm.
you see all the primary stuff and so other stuff, and it's like, okay, it might try to pretend that there is no hope, but there is quite a lot of hope these days. And back in the day, it was like all grim and so on.
Hmm.
Do it bother me? I think they could done it a little bit different overall. They could keep the feel and push the storyline further. But overall, like I'm okay. I'm not a huge fan of primaries, but most people, maybe not all, but like a lot of old grumpy people. I'm not that old, but I'm still grumpy. Complain again about it at some point, and uh, yeah. Overall, it doesn't bother me that much. I quite like the new Necron lore. It's fun. There's a little bit more personality to the characters, and they have some more emotions, and they are so a little bit more fun. So I
Mhm.
like the new Necron lore in general. There are some bits that are missing that I would like, but overall is fine. Overall is fine, I would say.
Okay. Gyto, thanks very much for your time, and we'll see you in Belgium.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation, and see you in Belgium too. Bye.
Bye bye. Last but not least, for today's episode, we've got Pearce from Team Ireland. Hey, Pearce, what's up with you?
Nothing much, Joker. Thanks for having me. Cramming in our final games for WTC preparation this weekend.
Excellent. And speaking of that, we'd like to create a little player profile of yourself. So let's start off by asking when and how did you start playing 40k?
God, I am 31 this coming weekend, so I'll be 31 by the time this goes out. I've been playing 40k since I was about 11, 12 years old. Went to my first tournament, I think. I remember my dad dropped me off. I had some dry brush Necrons. I got tabled in every single game. And I kind of fell in love with the hobby, and kept getting more and more into it over the years. So we ended up buying. My folks bought me the second edition starter set with the cool Blood Angel on the front, where he's like
Mm,
the iconic second edition box starter set
yeah, yeah,
with the cardboard dreadnought. And I didn't realize the game was in its fourth edition by that stage, so I didn't really understand the rules that well. Um, but so that's when I started playing 40k. And a funny story, my dad actually also plays 40k. He started getting into it because I got into 40k. So
yeah.
we go
Hmm.
to tournaments together now and play at home and stuff. Um,
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
um,
Although maybe not expected at this age. People usually bring in their kids, not their dads, into it, I
yeah.
guess.
So my dad played Napoleonics, like historical wargaming, when I
Uh huh.
was before I was born. But he told me at a very young age he'd sit me on the table when he was rolling dice. So I think as a young age that must have imprinted on me and turned me into a wargamer. But eventually, after bringing me to enough tournaments, he said, "You know what? If I'm going to spend my weekend in a Warhammer tournament, I want to play as well." So we got him a Dark Angel army, and now he's got orcs, Grey Knights, all that sort of stuff.
Blood Angels were also my first army, although army is saying a bit much. But I think I had the third edition codex as well.
Oh, that was
Uh,
cool. The one with the Terminator on the front.
yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I still have it lying around somewhere, oddly enough. And your birthday is on the 13th or the 14th?
14th of July. So I get my present are the WTC lists.
Ah, so close. We could have been like same birthday people, but
When's
alas,
your birthday?
too bad. 13th.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, we're celebrating
Close.
this weekend, Joker. What can we say?
Yeah, definitely. This one's on us. And how and why did you go competitive? What went wrong?
So, so in Ireland, there wasn't a huge amount of tournaments at the time. So I'd be attending events with my dad, and eventually there's a big one every year in Ireland called GaelCon, and we'd been attending that sort of my first time I think attending was 2006, and it was in October every year. So we'd attend that every year because it's one of the ones one of the few events I knew about because they weren't really advertised online, and being so young, I didn't really know where to look.
Mhm.
So we attended GaelCon, and then 2009 we met. It was kind of quite a big GaelCon. There was a lot of tournament players out of the kind of competitive scene of Ireland, especially a lot of people from the club called Dublin Gamers Guild, or the DGG as it's known in Ireland. And they were just incredibly friendly and welcoming, and we sort of learned about the club through them. And I never knew about that sort of stuff, before,
Mhm.
as like the clubs people playing. So they invited us, they gave us their details, invited me and my dad to go along and start playing there. And through them, I met a huge amount of tournament players, guys who were practicing for the ETC, what the WTC later became. Um, sorry, what existed before the WTC, the ETC, the European Team Championships. Um, so through them, I sort of learned about the tournament scene, and then I remember there was a tournament shortly afterwards where like it was a 1 day or 3 game event, but it was on the other side of the country. So all these people I just met, and were making friends with, they invited me, "Do you want to come along?" So we got in the car at like 6 a.m., drove across the other side of the country, drove back that evening, sort of thing, just to go
Mhm.
play Warhammer, and it kind of opened up a whole new taste of competitive play for me. And then I started going to more and more tournaments, and now like I attend so many tournaments in a year. Like it's some of the highlights of the year attending events.
Does your dad still tag along?
He does now. He retired a year and a half ago, so he still goes to a lot in Ireland. Doesn't really like to travel too much though. So one's in Ireland to go to, like GaelCon. There's another big one on the west coast called Broadsword Wargaming we go to. Um,
Mhm.
so he likes to travel to events and that. He's not really a super competitive player, but he just enjoys rolling dice and playing the game. Um,
Yeah, sounds like now he's got enough time to take your spot in the team, maybe.
Yeah, so the joke amongst the Irish scene is that he's my live-in commission painter because I don't like painting models. He loves painting models, so like if I get models, he'll paint everything. So I
Uh,
get a free commission painter, and my promise to him is I won't put him in a home since he paints my models for me. There's a lot of
oh
love
yeah,
there, a lot of love there.
yeah. I can hear that.
Yeah.
Right. So, how many WTC ETCs have you attended?
So this will be sixth if you include the year of COVID, so the 2022, because I was on the team that year, but obviously didn't attend because COVID shut everything down. So this is my fifth playing. So I attended my
Mhm.
first ETC in 2015. I wanted to make so the first couple years when I started playing tournaments, I didn't really quite have the skill set to make the team. And then a
Mhm.
couple of the lads in our community took me under their wing and started training me up and teaching me how to play competitive 40k and how to write lists and all that sort of skill set. Kind of coached me into it. So I made a push in 2015 to try and get on the team, and I was successful in that effort. And we got on the team. We had a fantastic year. I think we came 7th overall that year out of like 30 countries.
Mhm.
And then I took a little bit of a break from 40k for a few years because I was starting college and I wanted to kind of I was in college at the time and I didn't have as much time to play. And I kind of got back into it late 2018, early 2019, and I made the team that year again. And then COVID obviously happened and the whole world became a blur. And then in 2022, me and the current Irish captain, Joseph, we sort of were hanging out one day and we were kind of talking about the direction to take the team because a lot of our veteran players had retired. So I said I'd captain the team for that year. So I captained the team in 2022. And then since then, Joe has captained the team in 2023 and 2024. And he's captaining the team again this year, obviously. So I've attended 2015, 2019, 2022, 2023, and then 2024 will be my fifth year playing.
So quite the veteran yourself now.
Yeah, I've never played the same army at ETC or at ETC or WTC, so every year it's been something new and fresh. So I will continuing that trend this year.
Okay. So speaking of armies and factions, do you have a favorite faction?
So I am most well known both online and in Ireland for playing Death Guard. So Death Guard are definitely my favorite faction. me and one of my singles teammates. So the singles team I play for the Irish national team, but the single team I play with is the Try Hard Wargaming team, and they have a big
Mm-hmm.
Discord and everything. But one of my teammates, Max, myself and him are both big Death Guard enthusiasts. So when they got their changes last year around, I want to say September, October, after WTC anyway, when they got their kind of buffs,
Mm-hmm.
both him and I sort of I say pioneered the sort of Plague Marine in Rhinos concept that kind of saw a lot of play. And then he won. I think he was the first tournament win with Death Guard um, in 10th edition. I think I was like maybe the second or third. So we
Mm-hmm.
quick succession, and then the Plague Marines. I took them to LGT, the Death Guard, had a great time with them. I went 4-1. And then people started adopting more and more Plague Marines in their lists and kind of see the boys. So Death Guard are my favorite faction. My second favorite faction is T-Suns. And I love playing. I love Chaos armies in general. I have like all the factions
Mm-hmm.
barring Chaos Knights.
Okay. And what will you be playing at the WTC?
I will be playing Thousand Suns. They are just. I have so much fun playing them right now. I love my Death Guard. I just don't think they're quite at the races in Pariah Nexus currently. And
Mm-hmm.
it'd be an exercise in frustration to play against stuff like Thousand Suns or Grey Knights or these other armies. So I'm playing Thousand Suns. I got Magnus. I'm looking forward to Doom Bolting people, double moving, all the great stuff.
All the good stuff, yeah. So do you have a preferred playstyle though, or a team role that you like to fill in? Because Death Guard Thousand Suns, I wouldn't say they play that much similarly. So does any of those like suit you more?
I am a movement player, so I am not. I'm movement / combat player is how I describe myself, and I know that's a bit weird with me playing Thousand Suns, which is primarily a shooting army. Um, but how I've always played the game has been like really precise movement and like combat shenanigans to kind of lock my opponent out of the game. I would not say I'm naturally an aggressive player. I'm more of a reactive kind of denial player, like controlling the board, shutting down what positions my opponent can take and denying them board control, and basically make it very hard for my opponent to score. Some of my teammates are more smashy kind of players, and they're very good at just like, pushing your opponent in and taking all the points. Whereas I will sort of lock you down, and then when you've got nothing left, I put you in a chokehold almost, and then when you've got nothing left, then you're just done. And Death Guard does that very well with board control. Thousand Suns does it in a different way with board control, whether it's like your shenanigans of moving your stuff around to like lock off avenues or create unexpected attack angles.
Mm-hmm.
But both kind of complement my style in different ways. I've tried playing more aggressive armies, like what was the one I was playing before? I've tried playing like smashy Space Marines, like Blood Angels and stuff, which they don't really suit me as a faction, just because it's not the seat of your pants aggression that I can play by. So
Mm-hmm.
in my role in the team, I've played a couple different roles over the years. I've played a lot of ETCs, WTCs at this point, so I have played aggressive roles in the past. I play more of a sort of flexible kind of role where as a very experienced player, you could put me into the trickier matchups and I kind of know how to play them out. And if my opponent makes a mistake, I can take huge advantage of that. And like they make a mistake, I'll take their whole arm off, sort of thing, or know when to
Mm-hmm.
push and gauge it right. So I would say it's a kind of reactive defensive style if for my play style. I play a sort of flexible role within the team, whatever they really need.
Okay. Right. And but I would say that Thousand Suns are quite a bit a movement sort of army, because you've got slow units apart from Magnus, and you've got really short ranges. So it's actually really important to get your movement right, because otherwise you might not be able to maximize the damage output.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And last but not least, are there any other aspects of 40k that you enjoy?
So I enjoy the diversity of hobbies within 40k, or the aspects of 40k you can enjoy. Like there's the artists who enjoy the building the models. Like I enjoy building models and converting models, but then there's the people who love the painting, there's people who love the strategy. I mean, like list creation in itself as a form of expression and creativity. I love the social scene that comes with it. I mean, there are many amazing games out there that have more consistent rules than 40k. Like 40k can be a bit all over the place at times, but I think it's what keeps 40k so amazing is the social community. Like we all have this weird shared love of a game of toy soldiers in the grim darkness of the far future. A very depressing setting, yet it brings us all together and it brings everyone, makes them super happy. You know, and it's hard to describe to people who don't are on the outside kind of looking in, but it's definitely the social bonds, like friends all over the world. Like you and I, we meet for the first time in person, but we find out we've got shared love of 40k in common. We instantly have something that bridges that gap. And like I have friends from very different walks of life who I never would have met if it wasn't for 40k. Like people from higher status and stuff, or people from different cultural backgrounds, and I would have just never met those people if it was not for 40k. So for me, it is definitely the social scene is what I love, and the creativity that comes with it.
Okay, excellent. That was quite an elaborate answer. And okay, I don't know which order will these be as we're recording this, but this is already the second time I'm hearing that the social aspect is the one that's enjoyed. When forming that question, I'm thinking more, do you like the painting, maybe lore bit, whatever, and then people come up with the social part. Which is actually quite nice to hear. So great stuff.
Well, what's your favorite Joker? What's your favorite of the hobby?
I think it's probably also the social part. Now that I realize that it's an answer that's also correct, then I think I'd stick with that too. But yeah, I also like kit bashing stuff actually. In terms of the hobbying per se, I think I'd pick kit bashing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Pearce, thank you very much for your time, for joining in, and we'll see you in Belgium.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, pleasure to be interviewed. Thanks, Joker. Have a good evening, bud.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's it for today, folks. 4 fantastic players that we've had on Contact Lost, our second mini series for the WTC 2024 player profiles. As always, again, a massive thank you to our Contact Lost Patreons and our Contact Lost sponsors, the Army Painter and Weyland-Yutani. If you like what we do, please like, subscribe, etc., etc. Now, if you want to learn more about the fantasy entourage, then make sure to revisit the pod draw or to look for more information about this on our Facebook page and the WTC webpage when it appears there. Thanks for tuning in for today, and bye bye.